morning, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Legal Committee. I have apologies from Tom Halpin, Robin Johnson, Susan Montgomery and James Douglas. Do we have any other apologies, Colette?
No other apologies, Chair.
Smashing, thank you. Does anyone have any interest to declare or connections?
No.
No. Thank you. Decisions since our last meeting. So the committee took a decision in private under section 20 of our standing orders on the 24th of September and the 4th of October regarding ongoing legal matters. And in accordance with section 20 again of our standing orders, can I invite members to agree to take items 5 to 8 in private?
Agreed.
Everyone content with that? Smashing, thank you. Okay, we'll go straight on to the minutes then. Minutes from the 8th of August. Does anyone have any amendments or comments on them? Happy to approve. Right, smashing.
Yeah.
We've got the minutes from the, now let me just go back to my screen. Sorry, I've got so many minutes here. We have
We're just straight on to the public action log at this point, Chair.
Oh, sorry, yes, because they're the private ones. Apologies, yes. So onto the action log. The claims handling statistical report, we're going to carry that on because that's a kind of moving feast. So is everyone content with that? We'll carry that on. The other items are proposed to close. So committee priorities and outcomes, periods of shame, will attend. Yeah, so that's good. It's perfect. Committee priorities and outcomes. Priorities have now been updated. Right, DCC Spears. So that's fine. We've done that. And the last one, provide trend analysis. Noted and move corporation next annual report. Right, perfect. Okay, so we're happy to close all those. Great. Well, let's move on to item 3, and ordinarily that would be James, but today we are joined by it's Claire. Claire, good morning, Claire. Over to you for item 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. So this is the standing quarterly report in relation to settlement of claims against Police Scotland. The report outlines the number of claims settled in the period July to September 2024, broken down by employer's liability, public liability and motor liability. The report sets out the number of settlements this quarter, which is quarter 2, alongside the running total for the financial year. So in quarter 2, we've settled 16 employers' liability claims at a total cost of £301,443, giving an average of £18,840. Members will see that of that total, there was one case that settled at £132,699, and the other 15 cases were settled at a total of £168,774. Although the number of cases settled in this quarter is the same as the previous quarter, members will note that in the £0 to £75,000 bracket, the total settlement figure for this quarter represents around 67% of the total settlements for the financial year to date. We don't think there's anything particularly significant in that. It's just a question of timing in terms of when and what cases have settled, rather than representing anything to be concerned about. In terms of public liability claims, 23 cases were settled in the quarter at a total cost of £40,904, giving an average of £1,778. And again, members will see that represents around 66% of the financial year total. But again, there's nothing particularly significant in that. And it may simply be a reflection of the fact that the quarter 1 total was lower than usually would be expected, as James had reported at the August meeting. In terms of motor claims, 63 cases were settled at a total cost of £235,196, giving an average of £3,733, and that's roughly in line with quarter 1. The appendix to the report sets out the total settlements for the previous 5 years. Members will see that from year to year, there can be a fairly significant variance, both upwards and downwards, and that's just the nature of litigation. the number and amount of settlements in any financial year is very much dependent on the timing of what cases are settled and when, rather than for any other particular reason. The financial year to date figures in terms of the number or the volume of VL and PL claims looks fairly high in comparison to previous years. However, for the reasons I've already articulated in terms of the timing of settlements, we can't necessarily extrapolate from the first 2 quarters what the financial year-end picture will look like at the moment. So we're not comparing like with like. So until we get to the year end, it's not really a comparison with the previous year. In terms of the overall cost of settlements in the financial year to date, the figures look to be fairly, well, a bit lower than last year, but again, that's not necessarily a reflection of what the year-end picture will look like, but there's certainly nothing of concern in any of those figures. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions on the report.
That's great. Thanks very much, Claire. I'm going to hand it over to members for questions. I do think I've got some questions from Pauline and Chris, Pauline and Grant. Pauline.
Thanks very much, and thanks for the paper and that overview. Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on the comparison of the number of employers' claims and public liability claims this year to date in comparison to previous years, because the volume does seem to be a bit higher. And I accept what you're saying. You know, the numbers are quite small, so it's difficult to project forward, and a lot of them could be due to timing. But I wonder what insights we've got as to particularly the employer's claim, because 32 versus 39 last year, and 39 last year was the highest out of all the historical trends. What do we think's going on there? Is there a particular category of employers' liability claims that we're seeing more of this year, and why might that be?
I'm not aware of us having identified any particular reasons. As I say, it's the nature of litigation. You know, we don't know how many claims we're going to face in any one year, but I can certainly take that away as an action to look at the types of employers' liability claims that have been coming in. As I say, I'm not aware of us having identified any particular trend or reason for what appears to be an uplift at the present time. And it may be that as the financial year progresses, it balances out and the figure isn't actually much higher than last year. But yes, I accept the figure to date looks comparatively high. So I'm happy to take that away and see if there is any sort of underlying reason or trend. But as I say, I'm not aware of us having identified anything in particular.
Thanks, Claire. I think that would be helpful. And the same for the public liability. Again, the kind of the individual claim values much smaller, but volumes do seem to be particularly high. So again, it'd be good to just understand if there's any particular new trends that are happening, and whether we need to again take more preventative action, any learning that we can take. And I guess the related question then is that we've budgeted for a certain volume based probably on what the best knowledge we had at the time of what was pending in historical trends, and it might not be for yourself, it might be for finance colleagues. Do we need to be building any further contingencies at this stage as we look towards the year end, or are we happy with what we've got? And that might be for item 7, Chair, rather than for now.
Well, if I could just say on that, if it's okay, although the volume looks comparatively high, the actual settlement figure is fairly low in comparison to last year at this time to date. So in terms of the actual cost of settlements, there doesn't appear to be any concern from a finance perspective. Obviously, I will leave that to Claire Louise to speak to later, but it's just to highlight that although the volume seems high, the actual total cost of settlement so far to date is lower than previous years.
Thank you.
That's great, Claire. Thank you. We'll take that away as an action. Grant?
Thanks, Chair. I was wondering, I was also very interested in what the year-end position will look like, but we'll come on to that in item 7, I think, as well. but I wondered about the approach to settled claims, and clearly settling claims is a bit of a negotiation process in any sort of circumstances. So I wonder if you, Claire, you could say anything about the approach being taken. Is it to achieve the quickest settlement, or is it to actually take it to a much slower pace to try and actually achieve the lowest possible settlement with a view to best value? I wonder if you'd say a little bit more about the approach being taken.
I think it would probably be fair to say that it's a combination of both. So we want, if we've identified that a case is one that we would want to settle because our prospects are not good, then obviously we want to settle that as quickly as possible to reduce the amount of expenses that we're incurring from a best value perspective, but also we want to secure the best settlement that we can. So both of those factors will be in the mind of the solicitor who's negotiating the settlement. So we wouldn't, for example, just accept a settlement that we don't think is best value just to settle quickly, but we do want to try and settle as quickly as possible, because the longer a case runs, the more expense we are incurring.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful to know.
Thanks, Grant. Chris, I don't know whether you had any other questions. Welcome. I hope you've got online okay. Do you have anything else to add in terms of?
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and apologies for being a couple of minutes late. No, I think actually Pauline and Grant have covered it. I am particularly interested in understanding, with relation to employment disputes, what those patterns are and where the breakdown lies. For example, in terms of employment dispute accident at work, and as Pauline said, in relation to preventative action, and actually in terms of how we approach those kinds of cases in terms of settlement. So I think it's been covered, but I think it's just that kind of granularity that I think would shed some more light on what we're seeing here that I'd be really keen to see.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Chris. And I think Claire Louise's paper on item 7, when you look at things like employer liability, it's all split out into things like accidents, employment tribunals and everything. It'd be quite helpful if we could present item 3, if you like, in the same kind of way, split out. I don't know if that would be possible as an action as well, just so that we're consistent, so we can see kind of trends across the piece. That would be quite useful if that's a possibility. Grant.
Sorry, my apologies. I haven't put my hand down.
Oh, sorry. Right. Sorry. I thought that was a current hand. Right. Perfect. So anybody else, anything else to ask Claire on this paper? Okay. Well, in that case, I'm happy to move on. Thank you, Claire. So we're now on to the committee rolling a work plan for the year. Is everyone happy and content to approve that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll draw this public session of the meeting to a close. Thank you.